So how difficult do you think it is for a volunteer soldier to live in Grimgar? Turns out being a volunteer soldier in Grimgar is probably one of the hardest lives you can live. And while I have an entire playlist over on TikTok talking about the Grimgar world and how difficult it is to live there, I've never actually made an entire video talking about this here on YouTube. So I'm going to make some videos talking about the difficulties of living in Grimgar as a volunteer soldier fresh into the world. And why it's actually a lot harsher than a lot of other isekais. And oh my god, it's not easy living in Grimgar. But let's start from the very beginning. Let's pretend you're a volunteer soldier who just got teleported into Grimgar. Your mind was just wiped. So all of the past life you've had, everything gone. The only thing that's remaining in your mind is certain information that is necessary for your survival. So for example, you'll know what a sword is, you'll know what a knife is. So your memory will retain anything that has to do with your survivability, but not say what a phone is, for example. You will also, at bare minimum, know your first name. I've never seen anybody in Grimgar ever say their last name, middle name, or anything. It's only their first name. And you will retain some of the customs from your world, however. So, like anyone from Japan, for example, will retain some of their more introverted culture that Japan has. People from Japan do use their honorifics like Kung, Son, and stuff like that. And people from America and Grimgar don't use any of that shit. Oh, also, any of the languages you know from your world are the only languages you know in Grimgar. So if you only know broken Japanese, that's all you're going to get to use in Grimgar because Japanese happens to be one of the larger languages used in Grimgar. In Grimgar, they don't get to have universal translators or magic bullshit to make their brain automatically know what everyone else is saying. You're brought into this whole new world called Grimgar without any memories, and you start in the town of Alterna, where most, if not all, volunteer soldiers start in. And you're immediately told by Brittany that you can either become a volunteer soldier and get 20 silver, or you can, and I'm not kidding, f off. Brittany straight up tells characters that if they want to leave, they can. He won't stop them. Becoming a blacksmith, for example, or an apprentice as anybody else would be very, very difficult in Grimgar. This is implied to be because most volunteer soldiers are very different from people in Alterna. A lot of people, when you spawn in Alterna, kind of know that you're different because the way you're dressed, the way you act, the way you look around at people, they kind of just don't treat you like a person from Grimgar. They know you're different. Let me put it to you this way. Why would someone who is a blacksmith hire an apprentice blacksmith who they know is different and acts different and doesn't know the customs and culture of their world? And they would have to not only teach them how to be a blacksmith, they would also have to teach them how to act properly in that world for a certain amount of time before they kind of acclimate to their environment. That's an entire different level of hassle that they have to go through, and that's why a lot of people who spawn in Alterna from another world don't really get other jobs. This is why you sometimes will see in the anime, especially, volunteer soldiers who are kind of just homeless and just hang out in the corners of streets. And it's also implied through the light novel that this happens once in a while where volunteer soldiers quit being volunteer soldiers. They don't really have much of another job for a while. They could leave Alterna and go to different places, but if you leave Alterna, you're gonna have to deal with the monsters outside of Alterna because Alterna is actually a military city led by a militaristic king who is an asshole. So essentially you're being strong-armed into being a soldier for a group of people that you don't really know anything about. Not only that, to make things worse, after you accept your bag of silver and your trainee badge, Brittany will allow you to explore the town of Alterna. But he will not tell you anything about the town. He expects all volunteer soldiers to, 1, find their own team, and 2, look up information around the town so they can stay alive themselves. This is specifically done to see if the volunteer soldiers are good at gathering information. But you're essentially a teenager that's been pulled into an alternate world without your memory, and you're being told to essentially go out and survive, which is ridiculous. And in Alterna, no one's stopping you from being robbed, which is something that almost happens to Haruhiro in the manga, not in the anime and not in the light novel, but is something that definitely could happen. Also, there are other volunteer soldiers that can come into the town looking for recruits for their team or guild or whatever, and they will specifically go out of their way to pick up new people when they come to Alterna because they have no memory and they're like innocent, they don't know anything, and they'll take advantage of you. This is what happened to Moguzu. If they don't value you as a teammate because you're not strong enough or smart enough or whatever, they'll just take whatever you have left and leave you to die. And since you don't know the customs or anything that has to do with Grimgar yet because you're a new person, you might get taken advantage of very, very easily. So you have to take all the information you gather with a grain of salt to some degree to survive. This is all in the first day of being in Alterna. After you do gather enough information, you have to decide what class you want to be. To join a guild to teach you to be a specific class, it costs 8 silver to join a guild to learn a specific class. So now they are forcing you to pay from the only money you've gotten in the very beginning to actually be able to survive here. And you're paying 8 silver to get a week's worth of training from any of the guilds of your choice. Some of these guilds may also strong arm you into specifically staying in their guild alone, stopping you from multi-classing or you will die. Which, by the way, if you want to know more about the different guilds, I have made videos on all the guilds and the classes here on YouTube. Click the card in the upper right corner or check the description or the comment section. Classes like the Dread Knight will force you to stay in their guild. If you try to leave, they will find you and murder you. Also, again, all of this is for 8 silver. You will get hand-me-down armor and hand-me-down weapons from dead volunteer soldiers. This next part is an opinion, but I don't believe that all the classes are fair when it comes to actually teaching you a week's worth of training for 8 silver. Fighters get chainmail armor and a decent bastard sword, and are given, from what I can tell, is strength training, while the mages are essentially forced to go to essentially Hogwarts with a creepy old man. If you're a girl, by the way, he will try groping you, and if you're a guy, he might just ignore your existence because he doesn't like guys. And while yes, you can get training from other mages in the Mage Guild, he is the only one who actually knows what is called true magic, and you can get a lot of knowledge from him, if you're a lady at least. But it's implied he'll only teach women if he is allowed to, let him get away with savory actions. I fucking hate this shit. He's gonna grope your butt. Poor Shihiro. Like, it's just poor Shihiro. After a week's worth of training, you can actually meet up with your team and go out to kill goblins already. It is up to you as an individual to actually gather up materials and bring back to Alterna. You are essentially, fundamentally, a part of their economy. You bring in certain things that the goblins have and other monsters out in the world have materials that you can bring back to Alterna, sell to the merchants, and then you can actually repurpose them for spells, potions, and stuff like that, and they can sell those out to other merchants or other volunteer soldiers. So basically the town of Alterna forces you to be a part of its economy by being a child soldier, killing monsters with a week's worth of training, and they don't care if you die because they can just resummon more of you as the weeks go by. That's in the first week of living in Grimgar alone. Come back for next week when I talk about part 2, because we're gonna get into other shit. Oh god, the more I think about Grimgar, the more I realize how hard it is to actually live there. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, share it, tell me in the comments down below. But by the way, if I missed anything important in this video, please let me know in the comments. I'll get more into the harder aspects of living in Grimgar the more I get into these videos, because there's a lot of shit that happens in Grimgar that is just messed up. But don't forget to check out my Twitch, my Kick, I have a TikTok, and I also have a gaming page here on YouTube. If you guys want to check that out, all in the description or in the comments. Thank you for watching this far in the video. I appreciate it. See you next time. Bye.